Hello students, in this video lecture we are going to cover Eliot's poem The Wasteland, and in this video it is going to be the section number 2, a game of chess. Basically, Eliot has tried to symbolize the relationships between men and women. It can be called the relationship of marriage, of love, of the husband and wife, of the lover and the beloved, as if it is a game of chess which is being played. There is basically no love or no romance, no emotion nowadays in this modern world. The sacred relation of marriage has been reduced to a game. It is a game of chess, especially because here chess represents strategy. You need your brain, not your heart, when you are playing this game. You need to strategize, you need to be very cunning, and you have to scheme. So basically, this relationship of marriage, of husband and wife, of man and woman, now in the modern world, it has become a relationship of strategy. In front of you, you can see the lines with which the section begins, and it is, I'm going to read here, the chair she sat in. So in the very first line, we have a character, and it is represented by she, like a burnished throne. And now the chair is being compared to a burnished throne, and of course it is the use of a simile because he has used the word like here. And we also have to see the reference. Why has the chair been called a burnished throne? The reference that the poet has taken, it is a reference from Shakespeare. It is a reference from Shakespeare and Shakespeare's play Antony and Cleopatra. And Antony and Cleopatra is a couple which is being shown, represented, where Cleopatra is the queen who sat on the burnished throne. So the woman that is on the burnished throne, she is the ruler, she is in command, and somewhere there is an inequality in the relationship. What kind of inequality is this? Here the wife, which means the queen Cleopatra, is dominating over her partner, over her husband, and that is why this is an imbalanced relationship. This imbalance is an important symbol here. The relationship is imbalanced, and this is the kind of imbalance which we see in the relationship of marriage. The relationship of marriage in the modern world. So this is what we see here. And now when we know what kind of reference there is and why this reference is given, reference हमें समझ आ गया है और क्यों ये reference दिया जा रहा है, क्योंकि क्लियोपेट्रा से हमें पता लगता है कि हम यहाँ एक हाई क्लास कपल की बात कर रहे हैं. They are rich, they have the money, but somewhere there is an imbalance in their relationship, and they really don't have any kind of love for each other. Now the question is, who is she? In this second section, in section number 2, Eliot gives us two couples. The story of two couples is given. The first couple is a rich couple who are at a crucial point in their marriage, and this crucial point is that their marriage is suffering a kind of silence, a kind of loss of communication, and loss of communication is really bad in any kind of relationship, especially in a relationship of husband and wife. So it is like a breakdown of their relationship that they are suffering right now. On the other hand, the second couple is a poor couple. They are a very common class couple, and here again their marriage is suffering. Their marriage is suffering because the woman is in poor health and she has lost all her beauty. She has lost all her beauty and her charm also in childbirth. And now, because of that, the reason that she has lost her beauty is because she has suffered so much in childbirth, and now her husband is aloof. Her husband doesn't love her anymore because she is not beautiful and she remains in poor health. These are the two couples that Eliot gives us their relationship in section number 2, A Game of Chess. And we also see how in the first few lines, these lines which we are looking at now, we are looking at the first couple, which is the rich couple. So here she is the wife. Here she is the the rich wife, and she is sitting on a high chair which is like a burnished throne, glowed on the marble, and there is marble where the glass, and here glass means the mirror into which she is looking. See how the reference to beauty again comes here. She is looking into the mirror because she is beautiful. She has the money to make herself, to look after herself, to make herself charming, to look after herself and make herself beautiful. But the problem is, even though she's beautiful and charming, there is no love between her and her husband. And the poet says, where the glass held up by the standards are pillars. So this is a huge glass, huge mirror, and there are two pillars who hold up this mirror, wrought with fruited vines, and this whole mirror is beautifully carved and ornamented, and there are fruit vines, and then golden cupidon. There are two images of Cupid on the carving on the mirror, and one of the images different from the other. Even though there are two images, golden cupidon peeped out, another hid his eyes behind his wing. So one is looking and the other is not. So you can say one has eyes and the other is blind. So there are two cupids, one has eyes and the other is blind. This again is a representation of inequality. This is a symbol that there is imbalance in their relationship. There is a difference in husband and wife. And then in the coming lines, there is a lot of reference to light and reflection. And he says, doubled the flames of seven branched candelabra. So here there is a candle stand. There is a candle stand, so lots of candles are there, seven candles are there, and there is light which is reflected upon the table as the glitter of jewels. So there is light from the candle stand, there is the light from the jewels, there is a light from the looking glass also, and the glitter of her jewels rose to meet it. This tells us, all of this tells us about the richness around her, money. There is so much that she owns, there is luxury, but unfortunately there is no love. That is the most important thing. Moving on, again light and luxury, from satin cases poured in rich profusion of in vials of ivory and colored glass. So there are rich perfumes also. There is nothing that she lacks as far as materialistic things are concerned. Unstoppered lurked her streets synthetic perfumes, unguent powdered or liquid, troubled, confused, and drowned the sense in odors. Now look at this. Even though there are so many perfumes, the effect of the perfumes is not positive. The effect of the perfumes is not regenerative. It is rather, it confuses and it drowns, it troubles. So this is the effect of the perfumes. You can say, even though there is a lot of luxury in her life, even though her life does not lack in anything which is materialistic, पैसा तो बहुत है, luxury बहुत है, रोशनी बहुत है, but there is one word which is important to note here: synthetic. Synthetic means artificial. Even though there are perfumes, even though there is light, everything is artificial. There is nothing real, because there is only one thing which is real. Love is real, but there is no love in her life, and that is why the effect of everything is just trouble, confusion, and drowning. Stirred by the air that freshened from the window, these ascended in flattening the prolonged candle flames, flung their smoke into the lacuna, stirring the pattern on the coffered ceiling. So it's a beautiful ceiling. Everything is so beautiful. There is woodwork done, and the ceiling is also carved. It is a beautifully ornamented ceiling, but again, everything is artificial. The most important thing to note here is there is no reality in her life. Everything is synthetic. Moving on, again he describes huge seawood fed with copper, burnt green and orange, framed by the colored stone in which sad light a carved dolphin swam. And see how there is again a carving which is done and a light which is reflected, but even the light is sorrowful. The reason is that the light is reflecting the emotions of the woman, of the wife. And what is the emotion that she is feeling right now? She is sad, sorrowful, frustrated, and that is what the light is reflecting around her. Above, the antique mantle was displayed as though a window gave upon the sylvan scene. The change of Philomel. Now this is very important. This is a very important reference, and this reference is going to come again also. So it is very important to understand this reference. Now this reference is taken from the Greek myth of Philomel. The story of Philomel goes in this way. Philomel was a beautiful girl. She was a beautiful maiden who was the sister of the wife of King Tereus. So one day, what does the king do? He was a cruel man and he raped Philomel. And he did not just rape her in order to silence her, so that she may not tell anyone, she may not tell her sister about the crime. He cuts off her tongue. He cuts off her tongue so that she may not be able to tell about her despair, about her, this cruelty to anybody, especially her sister. तो इजी लैंग्वेज में फिलोमेल का कैरेक्टर एक बहुत सुंदर लड़की का है. वो किंग टिरियस के वाइफ की सिस्टर थी. किंग टिरियस उसके साथ सेक्सुअल असॉल्ट करते हैं, और इसलिए कि वो किसी को ना कह पाए, स्पेशली अपनी बहन को, वो उसकी जीभ काट देते हैं. नाउ दिस barbarous king, I hope you understand by the word barbarous, it means cruel. So obviously it is a reference reference to King Tereus. He is referred to as the barbarous king, so rudely forced. Here obviously it is the assault, it is the rape which King Tereus does on Philomel. Yet there the nightingale filled all the desert with inviolable voice. Now see what happens, the story moves on. What does Philomel do? Now King Tereus has cut off her tongue, she cannot speak, but she is lamenting. The gods hear her lament and turn her into a nightingale. So Philomel, this beautiful maiden, is turned into a nightingale. What can the nightingale do? The question is. So Philomel, as a nightingale, Philomel starts singing her song in the beautiful voice of the nightingale. In the real story, in the real legend, Philomel's song is heard. Philomel does get her revenge, but in the modern world, is somebody hearing the song of the nightingale? The question is the song of the nightingale heard? If there is a woman who wants to tell her story, if there is anybody, any man who wants to tell their story to somebody, their mourning, lament, their sorrow to somebody, is there anybody who is listening? And the answer is no. ये उस समय तो फिलोमेल ने अपना गाना नाइटिंगेल बनकर सुना दिया, पर आज मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड में पोएट कहता है नाइटिंगेल की आवाज कोई भी नहीं सुन रहा। कहने का मतलब है कि अगर आप किसी तकलीफ में हैं, अगर आप किसी तकलीफ में हैं, दुख में हैं, अगर आप किसी को कहना चाहते हैं ये दुनिया ऐसी है जिसमें कोई भी आपकी बात नहीं सुन रहा है, एंड हियर दीज लाइन्स आर एक्सप्रेसिंग द सेम थिंग, येट देयर द नाइटिंगेल फिल्ड ऑल द डेजर्ट with inviolable means unheard, nobody is hearing her voice, and still she cried, and still the world pursues. Jug jug to dirty ears. What does the poet mean by these lines? Eliot wants to say that somehow human beings are forbidden. Human beings are forbidden to tell their stories of sorrow. Their voices are unheard. There is no sympathy in this modern world. Nobody is hearing. And please remember, in human beings, definitely he is hinting at women. Women suffer more. Women are more brutalized. Women are attacked. Women have their pain to express. But the trouble is, nobody is hearing. It is impossible to find a voice of sympathy. It is impossible. Here, the reference to the desert. See how the poet refers to the desert. What is the desert? Desert is the wasteland. So the nightingale is basically singing in the wasteland where nobody is hearing. The trouble is, nobody is hearing. This world is a wasteland, and her voice is longing to tell of her abuse. She is longing to tell of her abuse, but nobody is listening. And to people who are not sympathetic in this world, the people are not sympathetic. That is what he says when he means dirty ears. To them, sorrow of anyone is just a sound, a repetitive sound, and it does not make any sense, no meaning. To them, somebody's sorrow makes no meaning. कोई किसी का दुख नहीं समझता, उनके लिए वो बस सिर्फ एक repetitive sound है जो meaningless है. किसी की sorrow हमारे लिए बिल्कुल matter नहीं करती है. ये फिलोमेल की इमेज उस रिच वुमन उस रिच वाइफ के घर में बनी हुई है, एंड इट मीन्स अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स, इट मीन्स अ लॉट अबाउट हर ओन स्टोरी ऑल्सो. And then the poet says, and other withered stumps of time were told upon the walls. And he says, in on the walls there were other stories also. So many other paintings were displayed. Many other paintings were on displayed on the walls, because it is a rich household. बड़े अमीर लोग हैं तो घर में बहुत सारी पेंटिंग्स लगी हुई हैं वॉल्स पे, which tell a number of stories. जैसे फिलोमेल की पेंटिंग लगी है वो फिलोमेल की कहानी कहती है. सिमिलरली देर आर अदर स्टोरीज विच टेल देर आर अदर पेंटिंग्स विच टेल अ नंबर ऑफ स्टोरीज, बट here the own story of the husband and wife, the own story of their relationship is a very tragic story. And the poet says, staring forms leaned out, leaning, hushing the room enclosed. Hushing means silence. Even though there are so many paintings and so many stories, the end result is silence. And as I told you, that silence is a very important word which describes the relationship. It describes the relationship between the husband and wife in the first story, the rich husband and wife. What does which word describes their relationship? It is silence, because they don't speak to each other. There is complete silence, just like in the silence in the room. Even though there are so many paintings which are telling so many stories, even then there is silence. Footsteps shuffled on the stair, under the firelight, under the brush, her hair spread out in fairy points, glowed into words, then would be savagely still. So there are words which she wants to say. Now, it is a reference which you must understand. Here, who wants to say these words? Are we talking of Philomel who wants to say, or are we talking of this rich woman, this rich wife who wants to say? But किससे बात करे? Whom should she talk to? Her husband does not listen to her, he does not talk to her. या फिर ये फिलोमेल है जो बोलना चाहती है लेकिन उसकी जबान काट दी गई है? Is it Philomel who wants to say, but her words remain silent? There is nobody to hear. जैसे फिलोमेल की बात सुनने वाला कोई नहीं था, उसी तरह से इस वुमन की बात सुनने वाला कोई नहीं है, because the only thing that comes back to her is stillness, silence. So silence is a very important symbol in these lines. And then here she speaks. Because these lines are in inverted commas, she is speaking. And she says, my nerves are bad tonight. Yes, bad. Stay with me. Speak to me. Why do you not speak? Speak. What are you thinking of? What thinking? What? I never know what you are thinking. Think. See how words are repeated. She is saying these words continuously. She is saying, and she is repeating some words also. Somewhere she is not even making any sense, but we understand her frustration. She is talking in complete frustration, as if she is breaking down, as if she is breaking down emotionally. That is why she is questioning. And whom is she questioning? Who is this you here? Why do you never speak? This is the husband. So the husband comes and she says, my nerves are bad tonight. So what do we come to know? The first thing about her is that her health is breaking, especially it is an emotional breakdown. It is a nervous breakdown that she is suffering right now. And she says, my nerves are bad tonight. Yes, bad. Stay with me. She is urging him to stay, to not go away. She is urging him to speak and not remain silent. Why do you never speak? She is asking him why there is silence between them. So now the relationship has come to such a pass that there is only silence between them and the husband doesn't speak anything. Why? What are you thinking of? What thinking? What? I never know what you are thinking. There is complete lack of communication. Whatever the husband is thinking, he never speaks. Complete lack of communication. These are the 5 points that we come to know about their relationship from these lines. And see, the husband is only thinking. ये जो lines हैं, these are the lines from the husband's point of view. In these lines, as I said, it is the husband who is only thinking, but he is not speaking. So these are the husband's words which are unspoken, because he is only thinking, he does not reply anything. वो इतना कुछ बोल रही है, husband reply नहीं कर रहा है, बस सिर्फ मन ही मन कुछ सोच रहा है. जैसा कि वाइफ ने पहले ही कहा था कि तुम हमेशा सोचते रहते हो, लेकिन तुम मुझे कभी बताते नहीं कि तुम क्या सोच रहे हो. And what does the husband think in his mind? He says, I think we are in rat's alley. We are the dead men where the dead men lost their bones. See how the poet is talking of, or the husband is thinking of rat's alley and dead men, and of course he is talking of the bones. All of this refers to the wasteland. He is thinking about the wasteland, and here their own marriage is being linked or is being symbolized by the wasteland. What is the husband thinking? Basically he is thinking that their marriage is now nothing but a wasteland. And again she starts speaking. Look at these inverted commas. Here she is speaking, the woman is speaking, and where there are no inverted commas, the husband is thinking. He is only thinking and not speaking. He is not saying anything. Again the wife is speaking, the husband is thinking. She speaks and he only thinks. And see, we can see the contrast over here. She says, what is that noise? He does not answer, he only thinks. The wind under the door. Because there is nobody who comes to their house. Nobody comes and nobody goes. Because their life is like a wasteland. So there is only wind and silence and nothing else in their life. So she asks, what is that noise? The wind under the door. What is that noise now? What is the wind doing? Nothing again. Nothing. And see how the words nothing are repeated. Apart from silence, these words nothing, they are very important. Nothingness, they make a lot of sense. In their relationship, there is only silence and nothingness, and nobody comes, nobody goes, there is no movement, there is no communication at all. And she says, do you know nothing? Do you see nothing? Do you remember nothing? So here there is basically no connection that is there between the husband and the wife. Of course, you can understand by the word nothing that there is nothing between them. I remember those are the pearls that were his eyes. Can you remember this line? We had done it in the first section also, burial of the dead. And these lines, there also the reference was given to you that these lines have been taken from Shakespeare's play, The Tempest, and there it was the dead sailor whose body had turned into something beautiful and his eyes had turned into pearls. Here the poet is basically talking about death, because death, once it happens, there is no renewal. So the man is only thinking about death right now. And the wife says, are you alive or not? She is calling her husband dead. Is there nothing in your head? Is there nothing in your head? Means is there no love, no emotion in your mind for me? Are you living or dead? And moving on, see what the man is thinking. This is the man thinking. Wherever there are no inverted commas, it is the man who is thinking, and he says, but oh, 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 that Shakespearean rag, it's so elegant, so intelligent. And here, this is nothing to do with Shakespeare. This is a jazz song of that time, jazz song which was very popular at that time. And here, that jazz song, those wordings are being said, or they are not actually being said. The man is only thinking about a jazz song. So while the wife is crying, she is lamenting, she is asking for the husband to speak something. The wife is crying, and the husband is only thinking about a song, is only thinking about a song. If you remember Philomel, there was nobody who heard Philomel. She cried and cried, nobody heard. Here the wife is also crying and crying, but the husband is not hearing. Her words make no sense to him, and then she says, what shall I do now? What shall I do? I shall rush out as I am and walk the street with my hair down. So what shall we do tomorrow? What shall we ever do? These lines are so important. They tell us so much about the state of mind of the wife here. See, she talks of what shall we do now? What shall we do now? There is nothing to do. There is nothing to do. There is a complete aimlessness in their life. There is no future at all. She cannot do. What shall we ever do? She cannot think of what to do because there is basically nothing in their relationship left now. The poet says hot water at 10. And if it rains, a closed car at 4, and we shall play a game of chess, pressing lidless eyes and waiting for a knock upon the door. And see what this is the mundanity of their life. एकदम mundane उनकी जिंदगी है, कुछ भी वो अपनी जिंदगी में change नहीं होता है, वो ही routine है. There is a mundane routine of their life which they are following. There is this hot water at 10, probably they are going to have tea at 10, and if it rains they are going to go in a car at 4 o'clock. So it is so fixed, it is a fixed. If you remember that symbol of the wheel, life goes on and on and on in the cyclical format. It just moves and moves endlessly, he says. The poet says, and here it is the wife who is speaking, and we shall play a game of chess. And this game of chess is, I have told you the importance of the game of chess. It is again the relationship that is there between the husband and the wife, the relationship which is symbolized by the game of chess. They will play that game of chess. This is the life that they are living, pressing lidless eyes. Their eyes are described as lidless, which means there is no rest for their eyes. They are always awakened. Ever awakened eyes, no rest, they don't feel any comfort, no sleep. If you remember that girl Mary, who was one of the speakers in the burial of the dead, she also said, at reading the whole night, reading a book whole night, it was as if nobody can sleep. There is no rest for anybody here in this wasteland, and waiting for a knock upon the door. And what is this knock upon the door? Is it some hope? Is it some future? Is it some kind of salvation which is going to come? And they are only waiting because it is never going to come. And then our next question is, then how to escape? If there is nobody who is going to come, if they are living this life which is loveless, comfortless, sleepless, this life which there is, how to escape, and the only answer is death. Probably death will one day answer, knock on their door, and when they answer it, only then they will be able to escape from this life. And when we say death, we are reminded of the Sibyl. The Sibyl said, I want to die. Because in the modern wasteland, this is what Eliot has been telling us again and again and again. In every story, the conclusion comes to this, that if you want to escape, the only way is death. After this, we come to the second story. There is, this suddenly the next story begins. Now the narrator also changes. The narrator changes because the second story begins, and this story is about a poor couple. It is about a poor couple, and the name of the wife is given here. The name of the wife is Lil. So, how do we know that they are a very common class couple? Because of the language also, the language which these women are speaking, the language, and also there is the talk of money or the lack of money. This is being referred to in the story. So we know here that in the second couple, money is the major factor. In the first couple, money, they had ample of money, too much of money, everything luxury that they had. The only thing which was missing among them, between them, was communication and love. But here the problem is money for the second couple, and suddenly there is Eliot does not give us any introduction. Suddenly the speaker changes, and now it is not the rich wife who is speaking, it is somebody else, and the second story begins. But in the second story, it is not Lil who is speaking. Please note, it is important that the narrator is not Lil. It is somebody who knows, or is an acquaintance of Lil. So this is a third person who is talking, third person, and they two women are talking to each other about Lil. Two women are talking to each other about Lil and her married life. So they are discussing, and from their discussion we come to know about Lil and her married life. And what do we come to know? This is what is said by these women. And please notice that both of these women who are discussing about Lil, they are right now sitting at a bar, and they it is nearly closing time. It is nearly closing time. The bar is going to be closed any time, because the bartender interrupts their conversation again and again. So two women are talking, two friends are talking, and the bartender interrupts their conversation again and अगेन. जैसे बार टेंडर बार बार बीच में आता है और कहता है टाइम हो गया, टाइम हो गया, टाइम हो गया, और उनकी दो सहेलियों के कॉन्वर्सेशन को बीच में टोकता रहता है, क्योंकि उसका क्लोजिंग टाइम हो गया है. अब ये दोनों लेडीज बात कर रही है, जिसमें से जो आए है वो नैरेटर है, और वो लिल के बारे में हमें क्या बता रही है. एंड शी सेज, आई डिडंट मिंस माय वर्ड्स, आई सेड टू माई सेल्फ, hurry up please, it's time. And see here, the bartender interrupts. Wherever this line is written, it is the bartender who interrupts. So the lady says, I didn't mince my words. Mince my words means she spoke clearly. मैंने साफ साफ कह दिया. Mince my words मतलब बातों को गोल गोल ना घुमाना, बिल्कुल क्लियर बोल देना. I didn't mince my words, I said to her. Who is her? It is Lil. Now Albert's coming back. What is the name of Lil's husband? It is Albert. Albert is Lil's husband, and he used to serve in the army. And now he is coming back from war. Now Albert's coming back. Make yourself a bit smart. He'll want to know what you done with that money he gave you to get yourself some teeth. So she had to go to the dentist, she had to correct her look, she had to become beautiful, and for which money was given to her. But she did not use the money for her teeth. She did not use the money for her teeth. Then what did she do? This woman asks Lil, वो कहती है मैंने लिल से पूछा अब एल्बर्ट वापस आ रहा है तो तुम्हें थोड़ा सा अपने आप को ठीक ठाक बनाना पड़ेगा. You have to make yourself a bit smart and you have to make yourself better so that when your husband comes he sees a beautiful wife waiting for him. And of course there is this one word which you must know. This word, it is in the first line only, demob. Demob means demobilized from the army. Now he is coming back from the army. That is what we know about Albert, who is Lil's husband, that he is coming back from the army and he had given Lil some money, but Lil did not use the money. He did, I was there. You have them all out, Lil, and get a nice set. He said, I swear I can't bear to look at you. So at that time when the husband had given her the money, he had made comments about her teeth, her look, and see how he had insulted her. What insulting comments he makes. I can't bear to look at you. मैं तुम्हारी तरफ देख भी नहीं सकता. And this marriage is basically suffering. This marriage is suffering because, what is the reason? Because the wife has become unappealing. This is the reason for the marriage to suffer. The wife has become unappealing. And then in the next line, and no more can't I said. So now the narrator says, मैं भी नहीं देख सकती, no more can't I said. And think of poor Albert, he's been in the army 4 years, he wants a good time. Look at the wife as a utility metaphor over here. A wife must look beautiful, the wife must appear proper for her husband, no matter how much she suffers at home, no matter how poor she is, no matter how much her health is deteriorating. When her husband comes back home, she must appear proper and beautiful. And that is what she says to Lil. That is what she says, that he wants a good time, and if you don't give it to him, there's others will, I said. And look how the husband is allowed to have pleasures outside of marriage if the wife is ill or ugly. This is what she wants to say, that if you are not beautiful, if you are not presentable, then your husband will go to other people, so that other women, so that would be allowed to him, and it is as if it is justified. ये तो ठीक ही है, ऐसा होना ही चाहिए. This is what this woman is saying to Lil. Oh, is there, she said, something of that, I said. Then I'll know who to thank, she said, and gave me a straight look. And then now this woman is actually saying that Lil accused her of trying to snatch her husband. So this is what is important. This woman who is warning Lil. Now Lil is saying, अच्छा मुझे पता है कि कौन है who will give a good time to my husband. And again the bartender's voice says, hurry up please, it's time. The bartender is interrupting their conversation again and again. And see, if you don't like it, you can't go on with it, I said. Others can pick and choose if you can't. If Albert makes off, it won't be the lack of telling. You ought to be ashamed, I said, to look so antique. And see how she looks old even though her age is only 31. So this woman has given away her youth in marriage. She has just sacrificed herself in marriage, and what does she get in return? The only thing that she gets in return is a verbal abuse. Every time she is insulted, every time she is abused, and every time it is her mistake that she does not look beautiful, she only gets abused and accused in marriage. And see how she is supposed to bear children. That is her duty, and at the same time she must be healthy and beautiful also. That is important. She must be healthy and beautiful all the time for her husband. Moving on, the narrative says, I can't help it, she said. Now, she is Lil. What is the reply of Lil? Where did the money go? What did she do with the money that Albert gave her? Why did she not replace her teeth? Why did she not become beautiful? This is her justification. This is the justification that Lil is giving. But is anybody hearing what she says? She says, pulling a long face. She's sad. She pulls a long face and she says, it's them pills I took to bring it off, she said. What kind of pills is Lil talking about now? She's talking of abortion pills. She had some abortion pills because she did not want to have another baby. She did not want to have more children because her health is suffering. She nearly died in the previous childbirth. And she knows that if she has another baby, maybe she will not survive. So she took some pills, and it is the side effect of these pills that she looks so old. Her health is suffering, her teeth have gone, and she looks like an old woman now, even though her age is only 31. She has 5 already. See how she has 5 children, and she was going to have the 6th child when she decided to take the abortion pills. And maybe she has spent all that money in that treatment which she took for abortion, and she nearly died of young George. Young George is the last child that she had, and she nearly died in childbirth. And the chemist said it would be all right, but I've never been the same. It would be all right. In the wasteland, please remember Eliot says, nothing will be all right. यहाँ कुछ भी ठीक नहीं हो सकता. ये जो जिंदगी हम जी रहे हैं, इसमें कुछ भी ठीक नहीं हो सकता. Nothing is going to be all right. Nothing is going to be well. And so this promise that the chemist gave her when he gave her the pills, that promise turned out to be false, untrue, and she says, I have never been the same. And see what this woman says to Lil. When Lil tells her that she has taken some abortion pills, the woman says, you are a proper fool, I said. Well, if Albert won't leave you alone, there it is, I said. Why you get married for if you don't want children? Now, the second accusation. Firstly, Lil is accused for not beautiful. This is the first accusation that is made on Lil. The second accusation, she says, I took some abortion pills and that is why my health is deteriorating. Now she is accused of not being a good wife and a mother because she had an abortion, and nobody is thinking about her health. Nobody is even wondering if this woman would have died, what would have become of her 5 children if she had another baby and she had died. कोई उसके बारे में नहीं सोच रहा है. और कमाल की बात देखने वाली ये है कि पूरे टाइम ये जो एक्यूजेशंस हैं वो उसका हस्बैंड एल्बर्ट उसके ऊपर लगा रहा है, या फिर ये जो नैरेटर है, ये जो स्पीकर है, वो लगा रही है, जो कि खुद एक वुमन है. शी इज अ फीमेल herself, and even then she is accusing Lil of not being proper and smart for her husband, and secondly for not for aborting a child, aborting a baby, and not being a good mother. And she says, why you get married for if you don't want children? So is a woman only a utility? This is the question that is being asked. And then suddenly the bartender appears again, and the bartender says, hurry up please, it's time. And then the lady says, well, that Sunday Albert was home, they had a hot gammon, and they asked me into dinner to get the beauty of it hot. And then the bartender appears again, and this time he is really frantic. He repeats, hurry up please, it's time, hurry up please, it's time. And then this, in these two lines, what happened when Albert came home? Albert finally came home. What happened? But the story remains incomplete. We really don't know, because the bartender comes, the bartender again and again interrupts, and then there is suddenly good night, good night, good night, good night, good night. Again and again repeatedly this word is being said. Good night Bill, good night Lou, good night May, good night Tata, good night ladies, sweet ladies, good night, good night. And suddenly the conversation ends. But Lil's story does not make any sense. The reason is the story could not be completed, and here the bartender suddenly comes and interrupts the story, and we don't know what happens when Albert came home. But we definitely know that through this story, Eliot is trying to tell us the predicament of women. The modern women, especially who are not very rich, poor women, because the problem of the rich women is different. The problem is that they have everything and yet there is no love in their life. They have every luxury, they have the money, but there is a lack of purpose in their life, aimlessness, what to do next. And for the poor women, the problem is entirely different. The problem is related to money. They have this predicament. Predicament means their trouble. What is their trouble? That she must remain attractive for her husband, and at the same time remain fertile. She should bear children, and the only thing which she gets in return is emotional and physical suffering. And this is where the second section ends, and the second section is the game of chess. Thank you very much.